This is ASDP ufologist Terry Ledge from Oregon. You're watching the Mothership Alien Strand podcast with your host, Donald Ledesma.
Holy crap.
I believe it was 5 separate craft. That's some straight UFO shit right there.
That's when I started seeing all of the lights and the contact that I've been witnessing.
I just kept filming and looking up at the sky, and it just started happening more frequently.
Look, what is that? What is that? What was that?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Don Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Man, I'm telling you, it's gonna be an amazing one today. I see you guys already starting to chime in already, man. Thank you guys for listening to the show, watching the show. We are live on YouTube. We are live on X. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Twitch, X. We're live everywhere right now, only because we have a special guest tonight. Her name's June DeYoung. We're going to get her up here in just a minute. But, you know, I got to do my announcements first, right? It's just going to be a really good podcast today. We're going to have, I talked about this a little while ago, a few hours ago, I did a small little podcast, kind of bringing you guys in on what's going to be happening tonight and what we're going to be talking about. So June DeYoung, she's a medium, and she helps people out there, that need help as far as that, the other side, things that happen. She's told, she's like, knows when something's going to happen, right? So we're going to get her on here shortly. But if you're new to ufology, welcome to ufology and welcome to Alien Strand Podcast. You can catch us on Patreon. Go to our Patreon page. Go check us out there. It's free. So just go ahead and download the app and, look for Alien Strand Podcast. Type that in there, and then you'll be able to watch us there. We have some special content just for people. If you want to be a member, go check that out. We're gonna have our merch. Man, I'm still waiting for my t-shirt guy. Sorry about that, but he's gonna be getting out there. All right. So our past podcast, we had one called War Underground. They're on Patreon. So go check that out. I talk a lot about things that happen with Linda Howe. She starts talking about all these things that were happening underground. A lot of soldiers that were talking about, military things that were happening in Alaska, Antarctica, different places. And then we had one with Mr. Cherry Lynch last week. It's called Deep Veil Cover-Up. And we talk about people that they use to cover up a lot of things that we're trying to do for ufology. In other words, if you get a story out there, they use a different story to cover it up, and then you don't see that story anymore. That's what that's about. So go check that out. It's a really good podcast. Tonight's podcast is called Terrestrial Connections. I'm glad you guys are here tonight to watch this. Of course, June DeYoung, she's going to be talking here shortly. Of course, we're going to be on Patreon. We're live all over the place right now. Thank you guys for watching tonight. It's going to be a great one. Okay, here's good stuff right here, man. If you watch the middle tetralogy, we have the middle part 1, the middle part 2, and the middle part 3 will be coming out here shortly. The middle part 4 will be at the very end of the year. But 1 and 2 is out now. Now, the middle part 1, you can actually go to YouTube. I put it out again for free. Go check it out. It's on YouTube. The middle part 1, highly recommend see that one first, then see part 2. I'll let you know when part 3 comes out. Now, you saw the Skylight channel. That's where you'll be able to start. You can see a lot of these films. You can be a subscriber. Just pay that one price, and then there you go, man. You can watch it all, even when the new ones come out. You already paid for it, man. You don't have to worry about it. That's the good thing about that channel. So go check us out there. Now, like I said, we're still on 13 channels for the middle. Go check us out there. The middle part 2, we're still waiting on Amazon Prime. Hey, can you guys do me a favor when you're out there? Go to your Amazon Prime Video. Okay, go to Amazon Prime Video and then type up the middle 2, CE3. Just type it in. Keep typing that. Type it in. Even though it's not there, I want to make sure Amazon Prime looks for our film so they can get it on there, all right? Because it's been lagging a little bit. I don't know why it's taking so long. I don't know. It's just, that's the business. That's the way it is. But hey, as long as you search for it, I believe it'll pop up a little bit faster. That's just me telling you, but hey, that's what it is. Follow us on Alien Strand Disclosure Project, all right? We're there to help you, right? We are the voice of the voiceless. So if you have an abduction, anything that's happened to you, any traumatic stuff, reach out to us there on Alien Strand Disclosure Project. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are a private group. You can still reach out to me or Terry Lynch or anybody. We have a website called ASTP-UFO.com. Go there and you can see all our representatives for Alien Strand Disclosure Project. And, if there's different states, different countries, so you can reach out to them and they'll help you out, okay? Like I said, we're here to help all of you. So without further ado, I know I've been rambling a little bit, but we're going to get June DeYoung on. Now, before we get her on the show, kind of like to tell you guys, she donated her hair and stuff like that. So she cut off all her hair and, she just doesn't feel comfortable right now. And so, she did a really good thing for the children, and we're still going to hear her. So you're going to be able to hear her while we're talking, and I'm going to show you photos, videos, and me and her are still going to be live on here. Okay. So don't worry about it. She's there to listen to your questions as well. All right. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get her on the show. Hi. Thanks for being on the show today.
It's all good. My hair's all black and blue. I'm royal blue and black. I am black and blue. But I have a whole new look, and they're all going to do a photo shoot and all this kind of crazy stuff. So we'll have all new hair photos. It's going to be a new thing. It's it's the
Wow.
first time I did this, and ever since I did this, I attract 30-year-old men. I don't know what that's about, but it's pretty cool.
Well, I mean, people out there want to know about you and about who you are and how how a lot of this started for you. And we want to go back to the beginning, because people want to know exactly, what you're about and everything. So let's start from the beginning about who is June DeYoung and how did all this start and unfold for you? This whole being a medium thing.
Well, the medium thing is interesting because I was a little baby in a crib, right? And I had this little mobile above the crib, and I remember back all the way back because I take this thing called IP6 from Jarrow, believe it or not, that takes you back in time. It actually stimulates your brain. Pretty nuts, right?
Right.
So it's a cell defense, and it's a vitamin that you can get on Amazon. There you go. And anyway, you get that, and you take that, and you can go backwards in time. But I was, my mother would tell me stories, and my dad would tell me stories that I talked ever since I was like a little teeny little girl, and teeny tiny little baby in the crib, right? And
Right.
she'd walk in and she'd be like, "Who are you talking to?" And she couldn't understand, of course, because I'm like babbling, whatever. And I'm seeing light balls. I remember seeing light balls, orbs, right,
Uh-huh.
over my bed.
Uh-huh.
So that was the first part of the program. And anyway, so I ended up having a lot of premonitions while I was growing up. And I would tell my mother, and my mother would say, "You can't tell anybody, because we're a Catholic family, right?
Right.
So you can't tell anybody." And that went on actually until 1994 when my grandmother died. And then I could come out of the closet as a psychic. It was sort of funny, right?
Wow.
But until then, I was told, go into the entertainment industry. My mom was a singer at CBS, and
Okay.
and she gave up her career to have me.
Right.
And so I went on to do modeling, and I actually I was a teeth for Crest toothpaste. Is that sort of nuts? I mean, things like that. I did really weird, like commercial stuff, right?
Right.
And then was offered movies and television shows, and I did a ton of talk shows. And Regis Philbin became like a dad to me.
Wow.
And when all this was going down, I mean, Reed was all into it. He was like, he always said to me, "Be the pigeon," and I go, "What do you mean? What are you talking about?" And he go, "Kid, be the pigeon, be the pigeon." And that was like so that I was experimented on. You know what I mean? Be the
Yeah.
person that just says, "Do I believe? Do I not believe?" And I produced a show called Vibrations of the Known and the Unknown, which I sold to the BBC
Right.
and around the world to different. I got known internationally. It's sort of crazy, rather than in America.
Right.
So Brazil and all of these different people came to me. So that actually really opened things up for me. And you've got a Jesus picture of me up there, which is the picture, which there was no Jesus back there, by the way. And you can see the robes going through the book of
Wow.
mine to go back. And being a Catholic child, it was an unusual picture to have up in the house.
Right.
And I was the black sheep of the family because June had a Jesus experience, and I was blessed on grottos, and I was blessed by Pope John Paul. Pretty
Wow.
crazy, right? And
Yeah.
he gave me a cross, a Jesus cross, and all of that. So I do. I mean, I pray for people, and they have things happen, and it's an amazing thing because years ago there was a guy who was a numerologist, Nick Newmont. He came to me, and Nick said, "You're going to be praying for people, and things are going to happen." Well, sure enough. So they have miracles happen. I have people that have cancer. I've got people that want to win the lotto. I have people that, you know what I mean? And I pray for them, and then
Right.
boom, it happens for them. So it is
Wow.
a really fascinating kind of thing for me.
let's talk a little bit about because you sent me a little bit about yourself, and
Sure.
you had some NDEs where near death experiences.
Oh yeah,
Now you got struck by lightning, right?
I
So
did. I survived that. Yeah, that's crazy, right? I
wow,
had 7 near-death experiences. I'm known as the most dead woman alive, sort of nuts, right? And
wow,
I had 7 near-death experiences, and lightning was like the bonus round for me. And everything went black with the lightning, but the other experiences, they were all different. Each one was different. So
wow,
that's the cool part of the program is that um, you don't just have the I'm going to the light, right?
right.
And I mean, I was in Cancun and I was on vacation. I won a trip. I won a trip to the Casa Magna Resort. I won a trip, right?
Wow.
And so I went and I brought a friend of mine and I went to the ocean. I didn't know that, like when you go parasailing, believe it or not, the parachute can go over your body
Right.
and then you can't get from under it, right? And you
Right.
drown. So a whole bunch of people drowned there, and I guess I picked up on that. So I went out. I wasn't parachuting. I just went out into the water, and then the shelf of sand went, and then all of a sudden I was being taken backwards
Wow.
through the tunnel. So which is really unusual, and
Yeah.
I was pulled like the copper tone. I don't know if you remember the copper tone
I
ads and stuff.
I do remember.
Yeah, and it was like, by the butt. So I was pulled by the butt um, through the tunnel, and I mean, I couldn't. The thing was, I couldn't get any air down because like 5 waves hit me,
Right.
and I couldn't get any air. And I was taken through the tunnel, and then all of a sudden I saw my mom, and she said, "You can't leave me now." And I went up through like a blowhole hole kind of thing, and a guy out of nowhere like pushed me out and then got the water out of my lungs.
Wow.
Yeah, and I called my mom, and it took forever to call my mom because you're in Mexico and you can't make a phone call. It's hard.
Right.
So anyway, so I call her and she said, "You can't leave me now." And I said, "That's what you said when I drowned." She goes, "Drown? What are you talking about?" We're talking about
Oh
women,
wow.
right? And
Well,
so, and yeah. So anyway, so it was my grandmother was a diabetic, so she was losing her legs. So I went back because I'm a caregiver, and
right.
then I ended up working with people that are VA people and military people that were in Princeton in the hospital in Princeton. Sort of crazy, right?
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, so I
We
ended up doing caregiving, and I'm a grief counselor and all that kind of stuff as well.
Well,
Anyway,
we have a video because you sent me the video of your program of that segment of when you were talking about the and near death experience in the water when you drown. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick, okay? And then
cool. Okay.
we'll check this out so everybody can see what the experience that you had. All right, here we go.
Thank you.
And I think it's one of the most fearful ways to die is to drown. And you can't fight the waves and you cannot fight the undertow.
It was supposed to be the beach vacation of a lifetime. Instead, the surf crashes and drowns June DeYoung in the fight of her life.
Suddenly the undertow pulls me under. I'm spinning and it feels good to let go. And suddenly I feel this warm light, this beautiful, warm, blue, white, gray light.
Beachgoers report her body was missing for 8 minutes. June believes for those 480 unaccountable seconds, she was dead, an experience that forever changed her life.
The other side is magnificent. There's nothing that comes close to it.
According to the International Association for Near-Death Studies, the decision to return to our side may not be voluntary.
This ball of light comes down and spins down with a sound, and it opens. And as it opens, I see this orange holographic face, and it's my mother, and she says, "You can't leave me now."
Some 13 million adults in the U.S. have had a near-death experience. Though no two are the same, most recall encountering a bright light, usually described as golden or white, and feeling magnetic and loving.
Wow.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm blessed to be here. I'm really blessed to be here. I mean, that was a really big thing. You got to know, I'm in this cosmopolitan like bikini, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm in this
yeah,
like red
yeah,
bikini with gold chains, and I was beaten by the gold chains. It was really insane in the water, and I could feel it. I mean, hitting me, and it was the most insane thing. And then to go under and then to come out. When I came out, there was a man's voice, and this man's voice I've heard several times when I've
right.
had near deaths. The first near death and on, right? 7 times. So I believe we have guides. I don't know who he is, okay? But his voice has shown up, and he told me that I had to do things for me after that, right?
Yeah.
And I was all about just doing stuff for other people. I'm here to meet for other people. I'm here for babies and kids to give them stuffed bunnies and things like that. I do like a lot of children's hospitals work.
Right.
And so anyway, so the wildest thing. I mean, I'll raise money for everything, and so that's me, right?
Well,
Like
that's a good
the
thing. That's a good
craziest.
thing. Yeah, but that's
Yeah,
still, it's a good thing though.
it's warm fuzzy vibes. You know what I mean? It's warm
Right.
fuzzy when you do that. You just feel so good, and so I do so much charity during the years, and have done over the years. Um, the um, the wildest thing is that like when you come back and then you hear a voice that says you have to be there, like where you have to be. I don't have an ego. So
Right.
it's like now I've got to be there for me, and I've got to be the one in the forefront. When I was
Right.
representing people at the time, I was representing artists and musicians and things like that, and I was doing interviews with people like Tracy Torme, right? Mel Torme's son, who did Fire in the Sky. And I was doing interviews with Richard Hatch, who ended up being a co host for me, the guy from Battlestar Galactica, not
Wow.
the dude from Survivor,
Right.
just to clarify. Anyway, so
Wow.
not the
Wow.
naked guy. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, so it was really fun to do that kind of stuff, and but then they said I had to be me, and then I ended up doing a lot of TV shows and Murder She Wrote and Baywatch, and it keeps going, crazy stuff like that,
Right.
and then Jim Morrison, right? That was one thing that I did was a Jim Morrison show for VH1, and I ended up being the LA woman to Jim Morrison on the news. So it was out of nowhere, and I didn't know who Jim Morrison was. Seriously, even when I was a kid, like in Sixth Sense, that little tent that the kid made with the bedspread and the whole 9 yards.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I did that, and I had the little teeny little record player. You know what I mean? And I had Light My Fire, and I used to sing it all the time. But I didn't know that that was Jim Morrison. I had no
Wow.
idea. And so later on, I would be the chick to Jim Morrison. Who thought, right? Craziness,
And that's
crazy stuff.
because you went to go to his gravesite, right? To read, they wanted you to read him live on. Well, I actually, they taped you right while you were doing this because they wanted to see, if you could speak to him, but beyond the grave, right?
Oh yeah, well I did. The weirdest thing was I never ended up in France. That's the only place I haven't ended up in. But I ended up at Chateau Marmont, which is where he hung out. He
Right.
hung out off of like the gutters, believe it or not, and Chateau Marmont. Is that sort of nuts, right?
Wow.
And hurt his shoulder and all that kind of stuff. But I ended up at a place which now is an Italian restaurant, but that's a place where he wrote, LA Woman, right?
Right.
And
Right.
then, and the news was, well, it was funny. VH1 tried to get access to everything, right?
Wow.
All of the places that Jim hung out. So we went gallivanting around Los Angeles, right? And at the same time, I had a client who she was living in a building, right, in Venice, and she wanted to live in the place. This is really crazy. She wanted to live in the place that was um, where Jim wrote "People Are Strange." Okay,
Wow.
and and so anyway, so I prayed for her, and I just put up a picture of Jim that fell at my feet, believe it or not, in Universal Studios. It just like fell at my feet, and I was with friends, and they were like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "That looks like Jim Morrison," you know. So there was this picture,
Wow.
and I can give that to you so you can post that up later. But it was like, oh my God. And so this picture falls at my feet, and my friend Roy is like, I can't believe that. How does this stuff happen to you?
Wow.
So anyway, so I'm in the store and I'm like, is this yours? Do you need it back or what? And they're like, no, that's not ours. Where'd you get that? What
Yeah.
happened? So anyway, I ended up with this photo of Jim, and but my whole life just started becoming Jim, almost like I got a boyfriend on the other side. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
was
Wow.
really funny. So
Wow.
it was constant Jim. So anyway, so she got the apartment. The assistant I had, he got the place across from where Jim lived in LA.
Okay.
The woman, Sherry Wood, she's just fabulous, and she owned the last residence in California, right? That Jim had,
Right.
and she became a friend of mine. So that was like really nuts to have Sherry Woods, that was crazy, and all of this stuff started accumulating all at once. Like I was in this like ball of Jim Morrison, you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like you end up in his world.
Right.
And so anyway, VH1 was upset because they couldn't get Sunset Sound where Jim recorded and Janis Joplin recorded, etc. And all of a sudden, I was handed Sunset Sound through KCAL. Pretty nuts. CBS.
Wow.
Anyway, pretty nuts.
Yeah.
So they got it, and then they asked me to work on the place. So, and the only thing, like, I don't use Sage. I have special stuff that I use to clear houses and clear people's negative energy out and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I get it from Greece. But I don't use Sage, and only for Jim will I use Sage because he had a Native American guide, right?
Yeah. Wow.
And so I use it for that. But yeah, I was given Sunset Sound, which I mean, I'm very lucky. And Manzarek was scared of me. It was really funny. Ray Manzarek was scared of me. It was hilarious. I mean, he actually choked. He was doing a book signing and he like choked in front of me. I was like, okay.
Wow.
I said, you don't have to be that scared of me.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
well,
some people get kind of freaked out a little bit, about people that, I mean, I see videos all the time when especially magicians are out there doing these, magic tricks that are unbelievable, and people just start running because they don't understand what they're seeing sometimes, and people just naturally get scared. Now, let's, I have a video of you reading from your show, another one, you're reading this reporter, and I guess she's interviewing you, and people can see exactly how you do it. So let's check out this video real quick, and we'll just talk about it real quick. Here we go.
You got it.
Finding a psychic who can foresee the future is a bit like playing poker. You never know who's bluffing or who's got an ace up their sleeve. Of course, half the fun is finding out.
But one visit to the Imagine Center in Tarzana, California, and my questions are answered by a pair of super psychics, Tamara and June.
How many children will I have? 4. I want to say the man has 2 children already, and you'll have 2 with him.
June is on the money. My man does have 2 kids. Maybe it was a lucky guess.
What does my boyfriend do for a living? First thing I get is TV, something around TV.
She's right. My honey is a former local news editor, but June is just warming up.
What is it about Brentwood with you? They're giving me chills about Brentwood. Yeah, it's a big town. Oh my God. I got like scary chills about Brentwood right now.
I live there.
Oh, is that where you live now? Okay.
That's enough. That's really enough. I think we've gotten way too close.
Can you tell what kind of a home I live in? I'm thinking you like antiques, and I'm getting like, do you have modern and antiques mixed together?
Yes, I do. June is amazing.
And say one thing on camera. You're totally blowing my mind. It's scary.
So there's the scary part, where people like freak out about when you read somebody. Do you get that a lot though?
Yeah, and it's the wildest thing is like there was a guy that was that I met in 1986 when I first came to Los Angeles, and and he taught me like how to do maps. So I can see like on a map like where people lived and have lived and where they should go. So I
Right.
do like a lot of that stuff. So that's why like I said Brentwood to her, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's really weird. He taught me that, way younger than me, and he lives in Pioneer Town out here in California now. But he, Jonathan Lynn, he was incredible, and he worked with a guy who taught me how to find missing children and things like that. Jim Watson. Jim Watson is incredible. Um, uh, he did 2020, you know, and he would find people, and he'd go to like Mount Fuji, and he would find people around Mount Fuji that were dead because they would go there. For example, like a lot of kids,
Right.
they didn't feel, how do I explain it? They didn't feel up to par. Let's put it that way, because their parents put so much on them, you know. So they
Wow.
would kill themselves, and they would go to Mount Fuji, and he would find their missing bodies, and they
Yeah.
would send him out all the time. So he taught me a lot about that. And then his brother, Peter did a whole bunch of shows and things like that. Peter taught me how to work with plain walls. Like I like plain walls in my house. I don't have a lot of artwork, you know. I have my grandma's Jesus, but I don't have a lot of artwork. But the interesting thing is when you work with a wall, you can see stuff and see words and see videos and you know what I mean, things like
Right.
that.
It's
Now
like
you make
it's
it
like a
almost,
projection. It's a projection of some sort, correct?
yeah, yeah. It's almost like having a flat screen, right? You know,
Gotcha.
and you imagine the flat screen, and
Right.
I mean, I do remote viewing. I've done all that kind of stuff, but it's you know, I've tried to educate myself in everything because being a Playboy bunny, right?
Yeah.
People judge you because you're a Playboy bunny, right? You
Right.
know, they're like, yeah, you're a bunny, or you're an actress, you're this, you're whatever.
Right.
But you have to educate yourself in each part of psychic phenomena. And I spent a lot of time at the Society of Psycho Research in New York City, where they taught me a lot. So like you've got pictures of me, you know, and there's like an alien behind me, you know, an alien face. I mean,
Well, I
you
was just
can't
going
miss
to
the
talk.
alien face.
I was just going to talk about that. So,
I'm
if
ahead of you then. Oh my God.
yes,
Sorry.
well, this is this is an older photo of you. I guess what you're probably in your teens or something like that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
16, sweet 16. It was my sweet 16 birthday, and my boyfriend at the time goes, "Let's go to the woods," and I'm like, "Okay," you know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
you're in love with this guy and whatever.
Right.
And so Peter at the time, different Peter, and you know, is like, "Let's go to the woods," and I'm in my bunny fur jacket, which I'm against now, killing bunnies and fur and all that junk, and
Right.
but I'm in my bunny fur jacket, and he's like, "Let's take a picture of you." No joke. In the freaking woods, right? What the heck were we thinking? I don't even know. He doesn't even know. Like I asked him later, you know what I mean? But I didn't know that he was an abductee. No
Oh
joke.
wow.
And he's taking the picture of me.
Yeah.
And me, I used to go, no joke. My mom used to have to lock me in the house because I used to go out on the lawn going, "Come take me. Where are you? Come take me." Because I was a sci-fi chick, right? I was all
Right.
just sci-fi, and I watched every freaking sci-fi movie. And I ended up interviewing a lot of those people, Richard Matheson, who did What Dreams May Come and Twilight Zone, and
Right.
just a whole bunch of people. The guy who coined sci-fi, Forey Ackerman, right? So I mean, I ended up interviewing these people, not interviewing them as a TV host. Like nobody knew I was psychic. Nobody knew, you know what I mean, any of that stuff.
Right.
But I found out that most of the sci-fi people, by the way, are psychic
Wow.
and had psychic experiences that they shared with me, which I thought was really amazing. You know, I mean, to me, that connection is really incredible.
Well,
But
and
yeah,
that's
I used to be out on the lawn, and they used to have to drag me in the house.
in the photo when you sent me this photo.
In my
You,
jammies. What are we
yeah,
doing?
you sent me the photo, and I was like, "Wait a minute!" Of course, you can kind of see the smoke, or I guess of extra of entities of some sort. But then when I looked to the right of the photo, I saw something in the background, right? And then I asked you, "Were you out there in the forest or anything?" And you said, "Yeah, I'm out in the forest."
Yeah.
So I zoomed into the photo, and then I was like, "You had a UFO in the background. You didn't even know. You didn't even know you had one."
No idea. I've had no idea. I mean, I just always look at my nose going, that's pretty gross. That's ectoplasm. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and the thing is, like, people pick mediums. People say I'm a medium, and and they're not. They number one, they haven't been dead, right? You got to be dead, number one. Number two,
Right.
number two, you've got to be able to transfer it onto film.
Right.
And I've had tons of crazy pictures. I think I sent you of psychic phenomena, including the Jesus photo, which the Jesus wasn't there, and you couldn't retouch a photo from the 60s at that time,
Right.
and so you can see his robes going through the book, you know what I mean? But I
Right.
had tons of photos like that, and I had a photographer once. He said to me, "There's something wrong with the photos," and we were doing a photo shoot from. I was wearing clothes from France, and we were in the middle of the street doing this photo shoot, and all of a sudden, you saw that one photo with the big face next to my body, on the left, and
Right.
I didn't see that kind of stuff. All I saw was like, wow, there's like a bunch of clouds and stuff, and that wasn't there. What was that? So anyway, ends up,
Well, if
I go
if
to the site. They say go research, and they're telling me, and that's when Danny Aykroyd did
oh
Ghostbusters. I got
yeah,
hiccups now because
yeah.
we're having too much fun. Anyway, go ahead.
So, if there's people out there, some of you guys, if you don't know what ectoplasm is, it's spiritualism. Ectoplasm is a term used to describe spiritual energy or substance that a physical medium exteriorizes or whatever. So, in other words, what you just said, you have to be a real medium in order to have this. Now, when they took this is not actual stuff that you can see coming out of you in real life. You only going to see this in a photo. If somebody's going to snap a photo, this is what's going to happen to you if you're a medium. Most mediums do have this. Now, these are some photos where you could see it coming out of their mouths. Most of the time, it's coming out of the mouths, the nose, things like that. Now, this was a doll on the left side where there was ectoplasm around it because I think the doll was possessed or something like that. I'm trying to remember the story on that one, but and in your photo, when you're looking at it, you can see the ectoplasm actually coming out of your nose. So, and it's kind of going up in an angle. And plus, there's like a face-looking being or something or spirit right in front of you. So, I mean, that's weird though. I mean, it's like to see it on somebody with a photo, and then it started with you young, right? So did you when you were at that age, were you really picking up a lot of spiritual stuff, like things that were happening to where it's like, wait a minute, I know the answer to that, or I can help this person, or was it already happening to you then? I think we lost you. Hello, hello. Yep, I believe we lost her. Hold on, let me see if we can get her back here in just a second. But we'll get her back on in just a minute. And that's what I was talking about, the ectoplasm. You know how it just, I don't know, there was a film about it. I don't know if you guys saw it where they showed a lot of this. There was a movie, it was a horror movie. Where this was happening to a lot of folks in the film, right? And it was down in a basement where they were actually doing a lot of these seances and things like that, where it was happening. Now, as crazy as it sounds and it seems, it's just hard to see this on film. It's mainly on a still image, and that's where you're going to get a lot of this things that are happening. Now, hold on. Let me see if I can get her back on. So, June, if you want to, go ahead and just log back out and log back in. Maybe we lost a connection of some sort. Okay, see if you can do that. Um, so we'll get her back on in just a second. I mean, she has a lot to tell about that story. What happened to her? Now, like I said, I saw this craft in the background when she showed me this video, and it. I mean, the photo, and then I said, you know what? There's a UFO in the background, and she freaked out because I zoomed it in. I looked, and then I put it under our filters. What we do here at Alien Strand Disclosure Project, we do this to a lot of photos, and it's the only way that we can get a good image of the electronic magnetic field is through this analysis techniques that we use. So I was able to do that, and she freaked out because she said, "Wow, I didn't know I had that on there." until you brought it to my attention. So we're gonna try to get her back on. Her mic was crackling a little bit anyway. So she says that when she's on the phones or like watching TV, she can't even watch TV because of the lightning strikes and things. Her phone will zap out, or her computer will zap out. She has to buy a cord for it every week because something about the energy that she projects, it goes out on screen, and it happens to any electronics that she uses, unfortunately, right? And it is what it is. That's when you know that somebody out there that's really, you know, that they're really, this thing's really happening to them, because this happens. She says this happens to me a lot. So she was afraid we were going to lose the connection, and then we actually did. So hopefully I can get her back on. And let me see. I'm gonna text her real quick to sign back on. But at the same time, I hope you guys are enjoying this show. She has a lot of information, and I hope we can get her back on, because that way we can finish it up. But she talked about Jim Morrison, earlier, and when I saw a couple of her articles about it. She even told me about it, that um, that 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 his death was not, wasn't a suicide, or an OD. It happened to him in a different way, and that he was taken out of the water, and then he was brought back into the water. So yeah, I think she's going to come back. Let's see. We can get her back.
Can you hear me? I hope.
I can hear you now.
Yay! That's good. Okay, good. Yeah, welcome to
Yeah.
technical difficulties. Welcome to the electronic universe. Once you've been hit by lightning, I mean, you blow up microwaves. Years ago, I used to take a pager and I'd hold somebody's pager and it would like drain out. It was really hilarious. And then when I
Wow.
get into people's cars, the actual door locks go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, and that happens to me. And it's
Wow.
sort of a funny thing. I
Wow.
find it fun. It's like
And
Disneyland. I mean, so an electric car is not conducive to me. You get it? I can't do an electric car.
yeah, you were saying something about that to me before. That one of your friends or something like that, you passed out or something when with inside the electric car.
Oh yeah, I was gone, and it was like, and the thing is, I've got like I have a client who actually took an electric car from it was Pennsylvania to Florida, and she drove it right when they first came out, the Tesla, and she ended up with lesions all over her body, and
Oh
I
wow.
ended up being her counselor.
Wow.
So I get weird things. I mean, I do home makeovers. I do houses. I do people, like I said, with cancer. I do children,
Right.
things, a lot of different counseling, grief counseling, and counseling on like where do you want to go next and things like that, in your
Mm.
life, and how
Can I
to
ask you?
remove the
Can I,
blockages. Anyway, go
can I
ahead.
ask you this question? Can I ask you this question? I didn't mean to
Sure.
interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No,
But
no, no. Of course.
when you're helping somebody that has had a loved one that's passed to the other side, um,
Yes.
when they're when the person from or the entity from the other side, when they're talking to you, do you hear them with your ears, or do you see like visions, or how does that happen to where you're able to channel in other words, to you, how does it sound to you? Are you like hearing an audible thing, or just kind of comes to you?
Oh yeah, no, they talk. They talk. They always talk. And and in my sleep they talk. Normally, like I'll get somebody's. This started with Danny and Brinkley, by the way. And I think your listeners know Danny was hit by lightning, etc. 48 minutes, he was dead. Anyway, Danny became a friend of mine, and he taught me some things. We spent a weekend together, and so I shift to the left, and I go in someone's body, right? And
Right.
I connect with them according to their birth name and two people who died. Okay, so I'll get the birth name and then two people that passed. Now, those two people may not be the ones that show up. It could be somebody else in your
Right.
entourage. I call it an entourage. Okay, so you have
Right.
your own entourage. And so normally, by the way, we walk with five people that are passed on every day.
Oh, really?
Is that so
Wow.
funny? So like when I go to a convention, it kills me. I mean, I used to
Oh
do conventions,
yeah.
and it just, I mean, it's like it's inundating. It's like whoa, over the top. So anyway, so I get the two people that pass on, and I go in, and I did that, when Danny came in, and then I had Will Smith who came to me.
Wow.
He was my neighbor, sort of nuts, and he said to me, it was funny. I heard a voice say, "Go out with your cat." At the time, this was 1994, something like that, and he was doing Fresh Prince. I might be wrong on the year, but anyway, he was doing Fresh Prince of Bel Air,
Mm-hmm.
and he pulled up in his red Ferrari, and I was holding my black cat, and I was standing out there because I was like, who am I supposed to meet, right? I mean, I listen. I mean, they give me something, I listen, I show up,
Right.
So
Right.
anyway, so I showed up, and he comes up, and he says, "Wow, oh, you got a cat." Da, 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 da. He goes, "What's that light around you?" I said, "Wow." He perceived light. I thought that was really interesting, right?
Wow.
And so he said, "Well, why don't you meet me at the jacuzzi?" And I thought, all right, that's a come on, but all right. So
Yeah.
I went, and I just sat there with my legs in the jacuzzi, and we talked. And he said to me, "Well, can you read me?" You know what I mean? We ended
Right.
up in the whole psychic thing. And I said, "Sure, but if I call on your people, I'm going to have every Will Smith in the phone book. How many Will Smiths or William Smith or Bill Smith or whatever is going to show up in the phone book, right?
Right. Right.
Like I'm going to end up inundated with everybody else. I can't fine tune it. Got it? So to fine tune it, I got the two people that passed on, right?
Okay.
And then I was able to do his life. And then, they called on me when they had marriage problems and all that kind of stuff. When he met Jada, and I met with her and all that
Right.
kind of stuff. I did their travel plans. I actually do travel plans, like when to fly, when not to fly, where to be, where not to be. I do all of that stuff, and I teach people on a calendar of when to be somewhere and where not to be. It's
Right.
very important, especially now. I mean, I did Boeing. I canceled Boeing and told them of all these problems that are happening with the Boeing airplanes, but they didn't want to listen. They didn't want to listen. They flew me up to Seattle. They didn't want to listen.
Wow. Wow.
So I do a lot of corporations. Uh, I do a lot of like car companies, and I do SpaceX, right, and Subaru, and I do a lot of billion-dollar companies, billionaires. It doesn't matter. Everybody's a soul. It doesn't really matter. You've got a billion, you don't, whatever. It doesn't really matter. And to me, everybody's the same. We're all these little light balls all bouncing around. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's what we are. And so I love doing company stuff. It's sort of fun. It's a change. I love doing military stuff. The military stuff. I do the ballistic missile people. I've worked with famous politicians from Kennedy on, believe it or not. Kennedy and the Reagans, and then keep going. I even spoke with Mr. Trump. Yeah, I did. And Sarah Palin, and all these different people.
Right.
So I have all those politicians, but we won't get into politics. But they call me when they freak out, and that's
Wow.
and that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I got celebrities, you know what I mean? Celebrities that call me that are like, kind of celebrities, but I'm here for the people. I'm here for everybody. I'm
Right.
not just here for celebrities and famous people and stuff. And I don't judge. Like I'm not here. Like I'm not here to go, oh, we've got RFK. You know what I mean? Running against Trump and whatever. And I don't judge anybody. It's like I'm not
Right.
here to go, I'm for this party or that party. I'm not.
Right.
To clarify. Anyway.
Your audio is starting to crack real bad again. Can you?
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you sign back out and try it again? Let's see what's. It's you just got a lot of energy. Let's try it again. Okay.
I think it's the energy. I haven't moved or anything, so I think it's just the energy. Okay, I'll do it. Okay.
Let's try it one more time. Okay.
You got it. You got it.
All right, so we'll get her back on in just a second. I started noticing it was crackling again. I was like, wow, she just it happened twice already in a row. But I hope you guys are enjoying the show and just kind of getting the information that she's giving you. She's giving you a lot of information, really, of what happens in background. As far as her reading people and the way people they talk to her from the other side. And then she gives them a lot of information and it gives you peace, really, in reality. So to help somebody and to know that the person on the other side is okay, it gives you that peace. So for her to validate that for you, it makes it even better, and it just makes your heart feel better after you hear it from somebody else, and she'll tell you things that nobody knew or nobody but you and that person knew, right? And that's how she gets validation from a lot of these people. That's why they call on to her. That's what she said, from Boeing she goes in and helps people there. She helps all people from all over, SpaceX, things like that. And she's able to get all that back on. Let me see if we can get her back on in here again. Are you there? Nope, she's not. She'll pop back here in just a second. So yeah, we were talking about that, and I do want to kind of finish up the segment here because she talked about 9/11, things like that, tsunamis, before they even happened. So she already knew, and I just wanted her to kind of explain those stories real quick to you. Hopefully we can get her back on here in just a second. Just her end was crackling real bad. My apologies. I'm sorry for that. But hey, it happens, man. She got a lot of energy. So there she is. We're gonna get her back on. Okay.
I'm back.
All right. Yes. So real quick, let's talk about some of your predictions that you had with the 9/11 and the tsunamis and things like that.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. The world predictions? Yeah.
Yes.
You can hear me, okay? Yes. Okay, good.
I can hear you.
So
Yes.
yeah. So the interesting thing is I did hypnosis. I did 8 sessions, 5 hours a piece, which is exhausting, I must say. Like when you do hypnosis for 5 hours, you're exhausted, you're trashed. And so
Right.
anyway, I did those, and it even predicted COVID, which was really crazy. I mean, I kept saying there's a needle, and everybody's gonna have to have the jab, and the whole 9 yards. We didn't call it the jab then, but
Right.
and I saw these towers, and I actually had. Do you remember the guy who hung off the clock, Harold Lloyd? He hung off of the clock, and it was a black and white silent film.
Yes,
and
yes,
he
I
wore
remember.
a Susquehanna hat. We'll call it Susquehanna hat. Remember that?
Right.
All right. So
Right.
Harold Lloyd was on the clock, and anyway, his whole family were my clients. I mean, the entire freaking family. Because I went
Wow.
from one to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. And so anyway, so I called up Susan, and I was like, and that's the granddaughter, and I called her up, and I'm like, he's here, and he's in a silver suit, and she goes, silver suit? What are you talking about? I said, your grandfather's in a silver suit. He's not in the suit he normally wears. She goes,
Right.
well, then he knows. And I said, what do you mean he knows? And, well, he knows we're doing the Silver Millennium collection. No joke. They were doing watches and this and champagne glasses and everything. It was like this merchandising kind of thing, right? So I said, well, he's here pacing back and forth. And she says, all right, I'll be over. So she comes
Wow.
over to the house, and I do the session with her. And I said to her, I see you in New York, and there's going to be a problem. You can't get out of New York, and you're trying to get out of New York, and there's the 2 towers. And I mean, I had lunches, tons of lunches at the Twin Towers. I mean, I spent my time there. I was on the actual top of the building, because one of my friends, he was the chief engineer for MTI, and he actually, MTI is Modern Telecommunications, at Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza, I worked on Saturday Night Live. I did their stuff, and I worked there, and when Howard Stern had his first show, I actually was there when he had his pay-per-view. I was physically there, sort of crazy, right? And Dr. Ruth became somebody that came over to me that loved me, and I loved her. So
Wow.
she's
Wow.
so cute. She's so small. She's so cute.
Yeah.
And Dick Cavett did his show there and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so Joe said to me, why don't you go with me to this place? And we went in the middle of the night. We went like everywhere. Like I did fashion shows at Studio 54 when I did fashion for MTV. I designed clothes for Billy Idol and all these kind of crazy people, Tina Turner and all that stuff. Anyway, Duran, Anyway, so I ended up going up to the Twin Towers, and we went all the way to the top. You can't even imagine being at the top of the Twin Towers. It was like the most amazing experience. So I was there, and it was incredible, and you almost felt like you could fall over, because you could feel the building move a little bit. It was really fascinating. And anyway, so my friend, he was my high school friend. He died in the Twin Towers.
Oh no!
Mukul Agarwala. He died there on his third day of work, and he was like an angel.
Wow.
And it's a wild story because I have to tell you, like, so I saw the towers go down. Let me go back to that. So I'm with Susan, and I see this problem with the towers, and I see this explosion. So then she's got her friend Meredith with her. Meredith worked for NBC, right? So Meredith is there, and I said, I see an explosion at the towers, and you're with her. Well, they weren't supposed to be together, and then they were together. Sort of nuts, right?
Wow.
So they were stuck in New York calling me, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And she could feel her grandfather, Harold Lloyd, grab her from behind and throw her into a building while the other building smashed.
Wow.
And that happened. So that was insane. That's part one. Like, I mean, that's like, oh my God, right? And then it was the weirdest thing. So I was told, I hear a voice that goes, go out and watch tennis. And I'm thinking, I haven't played tennis since I was with Mukul, right?
Right.
Anyway, so I went out and I watched tennis and yada yada, and I was told go back into the building. So I go back in the building, and I'm in my place, and I hear get your yearbook out. So I get the yearbook out, and I hear go to Mukul. I didn't know he had died, right? So I then see this man who, like Mukul older, you know what I mean? I mean Mukul was a really thin guy that I used to play tennis with, right?
Yeah.
Thin Indian man, and just an amazing man. And so anyway, so I all of a sudden see this man who's heavier, right? And I'm not getting it, And so anyway, so I look him up, and that's how he looks, right? So you can look him up on CNN or whatever, and and see that he passed on in a building, and his story, which is really truly amazing. Anyway.
Wow.
I would have saved him if I knew, and then all of a sudden I start getting clients. And this is how my life is, right? I accumulate clients, right? So I accumulate clients according to like disasters or, you know what I mean? That kind of thing, hurricanes and tsunamis and stuff like that.
Right.
Fukushima and, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I predicted Fukushima. Who thought in a million years, right, that was going to happen?
Oh no.
That was nuts, and still nuts. It's actually still happening. A lot of it is still happening. But anyway, so ends up I get this. I get my ex-boyfriend who was in Beatlemania. Pretty nuts, right? I get his daughter, and she calls me up and and I start channeling, and I'm like, well, there's this guy, right? And I said, I said, he's around you, and da, 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 and he has something to do with 9/11, and his dad's here, and yada, yada, yada. And that happened. And then he came to me, this guy. So
Wow.
Brian's coming to me, right? So I got Brian, and I'm channeling his dad from 9/11. His dad was on the same floor as Muckle, and I'm not kidding. I have probably 7 or 8 people that Muckle saved during
Wow.
that time period, and I was channeling people that passed, and the people, that had people that survived, that Muckle saved to get down the stairs, and Muckle stayed there. Is that wild to die?
Wow.
And they all said his name.
Wow.
To me.
Wow.
Just chilly bump.
We're,
And so that was really something, But yeah, 9/11 was something.
we're losing her.
Go ahead.
We're losing you. You got a lot of background stuff going on there. It sounds
No, that's crazy because
yeah.
I'm alone.
Yeah, it's serious. It's going nuts right now. The background. If you want to just try it one more, we'll do this last time. Last time it was sign out and then just try it back and let's try it again because something's going on with your side. Okay, yeah, sign out and come back in. So I want to show you guys this now that you guys are out there. Let me show you this picture of her here real quick. So she did have 8 extraterrestrial visitations at one time, and I don't know if you can see it, but she says that they came to her in her bedroom and they surrounded her at one time. But if you look at the picture in the center, and if you look at the formation of the white mist, it looks just like an alien head. You can almost see like teeth that's on that image that's on there. So and that's the middle photo. So and that's the best one that came out of her experience with extraterrestrials. So she has had that experience as well. I just want to touch base on that real quick before we close out. But are you there? Let's see if we can hear you a little bit better. Are you there? Oh my God. No, we lost her again. Well, hey, it happens. But look, so if you can see that photo, look at the center one. You can almost see the 2 eyes there and the mouth. Uh, you know, and my thing is, when we saw the photo earlier of the ectoplasma, right? That that extraterrestrial vehicle was behind her on the right side, right? And who's to say that she's not in tune with extraterrestrials as well, right? And it's a possibility that this is where those dimensions kind of come together, right? On what she's experienced as far as the extraterrestrial visitation, and I think maybe she's kind of connected with that side as well. Are you there? Let me see if we can get you back on.
I'm here. Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I was telling everybody about the photo that right there in the dead center.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's heavy duty, and I have to tell you, like I've had a lot of UFO experiences. I decided to do over a house that I had a dream about. I had a dream about this house. It had round walls, et cetera, et cetera. And I told the boyfriend I had at the time. I've never been married, but we were going to get married in the house and yada yada, right? And I was
Right.
engaged 5 times, something crazy like that. Anyway, so so ends up that I'm in this house and I keep feeling like I'm being watched. It was really weird. And
Wow.
my my neighbors and I all experienced a UFO incident at the same
Wow.
time, and my kitchen um, oven closed and locked, and they didn't know how they were going to open it. They were like, "You're going to need a new one."
Wow.
But we all heard this buzzing sound, this buzzing, beeping and buzzing, right?
Yeah.
And my neighbor, I know I'm giving you the short version of this, but this is where I had over 100 UFO scientists, no joke, at my home because I got offered this show called In Contact at the same time, which is sort of funny, right? I got offered In Contact, and I was to host with Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica, and which I mentioned before. But the wildest thing was my neighbor next door. She worked for United Airlines, and she said my husband and I were out on the balcony, and there was this big craft, and she said it was the size of football fields over houses. At the same time, my other neighbor down the street, he had his appliances go out. My neighbor next door had his appliances go out. All of us had the appliances go out. And the weirdest thing was I felt this like comfort, you know what I mean?
Right.
I went to the bedroom and I passed out because I was remodeling this home. And I do a lot of remodels. I mean, I did Sinatra's house. I did a whole ton of like celebrity homes and things like that. So anyway, yeah, I did Twin Palms out here, and that was haunted as well. But the wildest thing was, so I do this house, and I'm remodeling it, and I'm downstairs sleeping, and all of a sudden I hear this sound, right? This breathing,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, and somebody's like breathing in my ear. I'm like, what is that? And there are three beings in my living room, right? And and I see them in the living room, and I see them going down the stairs, and I can hear them go down the stairs, boom, 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 boom. Is that weird? And they go into my bedroom, and there are three different beings, three different ones, and they're there for me, right? And after that, they all call me Miss UFO, which is weird, right?
Wow.
But everybody was like, "We're naming you Miss UFO." I didn't name me Miss UFO. They named me Miss UFO.
Wow.
It's so funny, right?
Wow.
So, but I had the encounter with that, and ever since then, I was like, okay, I have to leave this relationship. I gotta go, and I lost all this weight. No joke. I'd lost all this weight. I've got the sexy dresses. I've got the whole 9 yards. I'm like a whole other person, right? You know, and I'm like, whoa, what happened to me? And it was time to go. That was it. My mom flew into town, and then boom, I was packing up and let's go.
Wow.
And I left him, and he was like devastated, you know what I mean, in the respect that not because I left him, but he was like, I don't understand this UFO thing. That's why he was devastated. He couldn't get it, you know what I mean? And everybody else around me could. And like, you know, I had a birthday party with like 150 people that were all UFO people. No joke.
Wow.
And it's like, you know, and everything from artists on out, and it was a blessing. I mean, I was being saved in a lot of ways, and I didn't know that I was being saved. So I guess you can say aliens saved me, you know what I mean? But they did.
Wow.
It was really amazing, and it was really good, and yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But you know, and I mean, I had Eric Repair. If you know Eric Repair, he's like the famous, right? He's the famous chef. He made me souffle for my engagement party. No joke. It was like, I mean, it was like I had him. I was like, oh my god. And then Anthony Bourdain died. You know, who was his best friend. And I mean, who thought that I was going to be with Eric Repair? You know, at Le Bourdain. It was like, oh my god. You know, and it's like, you know, the weirdest connections happen, but I do have to say, like, the alien experience really saved me in so many ways and changed my life, and then I got to interview Tracy Torme, Fire in the Sky, and Mel Torme became like a dad to me, and he was really cool, and I was telling you, like, I didn't know that Tracy just died, you know, and I had no idea that he passed, and I only looked it up because there are some things that I wanted to send you that I haven't been able to find yet. I have them; they're somewhere, you know, and I'll get them to you. But yeah, and it's weird. Everything from Bud Hopkins to, you know, I mean, just Willie Strieber, and then me finding this evidence in Calabasas, you know, on the top of a hill. You know, I'm in my apartment, and like a condo apartment.
Wow.
And in Calabasas, and all of a sudden I feel this magnetic thing over the roof. And I'm on with my friend Jasmine, and I'm looking out the window. And I look out the window, and there's this thing flying. It looked like the nose of an airplane with the fire of a gas stove, going from the back of it. And it's headed for the hills, right? And we had like cattle and everything out there. So I said, "Oh my God, Jasmine, what do I do?" She goes, "Call 911." So I called 911, and the police came, and the fire trucks came, and to save everything from catching fire. And then Jasmine and I went up there, and you could feel this perimeter. So I had Dr. Roger Lear, and I had his photographer, and I had Whitley Strieber, and they worked with me on the evidence. And we got soil samples that were imploded trees. I mean, seriously, it was just insane stuff. And so they call it the first evidence of a UFO that I brought to the surface. Sort of nuts that it happened to me. I'm not taking credit for anything. You know what I mean? It's just, but Roger Lear and I, we used to have lunch and dinner and everything all the time, and go to events and stuff. And before he passed on, but
well, somebody. So we're getting some glitching again. Not as much, but it's glitching a little bit. Somebody asks in the background, do you drain watches? In other words, do watches drain the batteries? Can you wear watches? Things like that.
Yeah, no, I can't wear watches, and yes, and Apple watches. I mean, yeah, there's no way.
Wow.
No way.
Okay.
There's
well,
no
I mean,
way. Apple watches, computers, chargers. I mean, it's insane. Phones, like whatever. Well, you can tell the phone. We got that going.
Right. Yeah, that's going on real bad right now. So let's just close off. What's next for you while we close out right now? What's the next thing for June DeYoung?
Well, I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book on how I helped my clients win lotto. Sort of nuts. My Uncle Tony, he was one of the biggest lotto winners in New Jersey, and he taught me since I was a little girl how to work with numbers and stuff, and then all these other people taught me number systems. So it's sort of like a matrix. So it takes me like 10 days to do someone's lotto chart, but I do it, and they win lotto. And so now I'm at over 4 billion today. Isn't that crazy? I'm over 4 billion today. So this is like exciting, it's very exciting. Yeah. And I mean that's since 20 since COVID. Let's put it that way, since COVID.
Right.
When COVID hit and everybody said, in February, March, here we got COVID, and that's when I said, I'm going to help people, and I do it for stuffed bunnies for children's charity, and I do that. So that's a book I'm doing, and then I'm doing a book on my life, and I'm talking to people about doing home makeover shows, and so that I can teach people about energy of your home, because Yogananda said that, it's like, what should I say? The energy of your home, is a big thing over your life, right?
Right.
So it's a really, really, what should I say? It's powerful because whatever's going on in your house and your life, you can change it and you can shift it,
Right.
I've had homeless people that I helped, by the way, win lotto, and now they have homes. It's sort of funny, which is a really, really neat thing. And I've met them just because they're like an Instacart driver or a DoorDash or something like that,
Right.
So, but environment is overpowering over the soul, and that's essentially it, that you're going to sense. So it is, it's a big deal. Anyway, sorry.
You're glitching like really bad. It's I can't believe this is happening.
Am I? Oh my God, this is so crazy. I can hear you perfectly.
Your end is like I can hear it, and I was like, oh my god. But thank you for being on the show today. I really appreciate you. Hopefully next time we get you on the show, we'll have a better. I don't know what it is. I know you're right by your router and everything, but I think it's just the energy that's around you is kind of conflicting, getting in the way. But thank you for being on the show tonight. We really appreciate you. Even though the little technical difficulties, it's okay. It's okay. We got to hear a lot of your insights, and we really appreciate you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. I mean, I can hear you perfectly, so it's really funny. Anyway.
Well, I'll send you the copy, and then you'll be able to hear how it started to do that. It's kind of crazy.
I can't wait. I mean, yeah. I mean, hey, aliens are us, so it's
right.
Somewhere. Something's going on, you know what I mean? Something's going on because I'm not near anything that could cause that. So it's sort of fun, right?
Wow. All right. Well, hang out in the background, and I'll get with you here in just a minute, okay? I'm going to close this show out, okay?
Okay, you got it.
All right. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for everything. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Appreciate it. We're going to get you back on, that's for sure, because we want to make sure everybody can hear you nice and clear. So we'll do that. So hope everybody enjoyed today's show. I know it was a little glitchy. It happened on her end. It was just, when somebody's tuned in, and just a lot of energy. I've had another guest that this happened to them before as well. They had like a lot of things that were happening, like spiritual things like that. And when they were trying to talk, it was just cutting off like same way. It's kind of crazy how that happens, but it just kind of tells you that they have a lot of energy. There's just something around them all the time, and there's always someone around you. Like she said, there's 3 or 4 or 5 people around you at all times, right? That are guiding you every day, right? And these are the people she can see and hear. And unfortunately, we can't. Some of us are not in tune like that to able to see or hear them. I wish we could, and that would be really nice, But we can always, still, keep them in our hearts and keep whatever's around us in a positive vibe. And we give that, we transmit that same vibe to people out there as well, because if you're good, we want everybody to be good out there. We don't want to throw that bad vibe out there, and that's just the way it is. Be good people, right? So thank you guys for listening to the show tonight. I really appreciate it. Like I said, I apologize for the little technical difficulties, but it's okay. We'll get her back on again. Thank you. I appreciate everybody chiming in. It was a lot of folks watching tonight, and I hope you guys catch us on the next podcast, right? But until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night. Alien Strand Podcast.
Hi everyone, this is ASDP UFOologist Paul Welburn from North Yorkshire in the UK, and you're watching the Alien Strand podcast with your amazing host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, official website.